Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Draper, Deputy CEO and Director of Programs at NMIT. I will be your compere for tonight's proceedings. I would now like to introduce the Chief Executive Officer of NMIT, Dr. Andrew Giddy.
Good evening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special night for the graduation ceremony for 2012 for those who completed their qualifications in 2011. Graduation ceremony is a very important evening of the year for us, and it has special significance this year because this year is our 100th year since NMIT was formed originally as Collingwood Technical College. For those graduates receiving their diplomas, advanced diplomas, associate degrees and bachelor degrees, this evening formally recognises their academic achievement and success. While tonight belongs to the graduates, and a range of other people have been invited here tonight to celebrate this occasion, including members of the NMIT board, sponsors and representatives from business and industry, institute staff and family and friends of the graduates. We extend our congratulations to all of the graduates this evening and thank all of those who supported them throughout their time of study. As NMIT also delivers offshore programs in the Asian region, tonight the graduation program also includes some 3,658 offshore graduates who will be graduating in absentia tonight. As such, the graduation ceremony is being beamed live via the internet and will be watched by many families and friends in China and Korea. Tonight our guest speaker is Clare Bowditch. Clare is one of Australia's most loved singer-songwriters. She will release her 5th album this year, all going well, on the 1st of August. And in her time she has toured with the likes of Leonard Cohen and Powderfinger. Clare has won numerous awards, including the ARIA for Best Female Artist, and has also been Rolling Stone Woman of the Year. Adding to her list of achievements, Clare has made her acting debut, and for those of you who are fans of the program Offspring, Clare debuted last week and was on last night as well. Clare also has a special connection with NMIT and has run mentoring workshops for our music students at the Fairfield campus. Indeed, Clare chooses NMIT graduates as her backing singers. So we're delighted to have Clare as our guest speaker tonight to deliver the 2012 graduation address. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Clare Bowditch.
By jingoes, I feel a little bit special, don't I? Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, and I welcome you all here, friends, family, guests, esteemed lecturers, esteemed colleagues, and of course, students. And I want to start by saying hello to China and hello to all of our friends on the interweb, but also congratulations, just big congratulations. You know, Woody Allen said that 80% of success is showing up. And you showed up, and you kept showing up, and you're here tonight. Your journey starts here. And yet, let's be honest, it started a little while ago, didn't it? It started when your mother looked at your father with a twinkle in her eye, and we'll just move forward to today, shall we? Your journey starts here and ends, and begins again and ends, and so is a cycle of life. But as Winston Churchill said, it's not always easy. And when it feels like you're in hell, just keep going. And let's be honest, to finish any diploma, any certificate, any grand undertaking, we must have resilience. And I just want you to take a moment here with me just to ask yourself, how is it that I got here? And also, what did I have to give up in order to arrive here tonight? So if you would, I'd love you to just close your eyes for a moment, and I'll be back shortly. That was a joke. Close your eyes for a moment and just reflect, if you would, on some of the things that you've had to go through in just showing up here. So there were, of course, you know, the late nights, there were the times when you were worried. Some of you had children during the time you were students here at NMIT. There was the full-time job that is applying for Austudy in Australia. There were the aggressive distractions, of course, checking your Facebook and Twitter compulsively. For those of you, it wasn't just the self-doubt and the lack of sleep, and you know, some of you, there was pressure from your family, which was all well-intended. There was technology failure. For those of you who were also dealing with the questions of others, you know, the inappropriate questions of others, those in animal technology, constantly fielding questions about when cows will learn how to use computers. Those in floristry, always on the hunt for gyp, never finding. Those in music, often being asked, why don't you just go on Australian Idol? You know what we say to that, don't you? So that's the truth of it. It wasn't always easy, but guess what? You did it, and you're here tonight, and we're here to celebrate with you. The truth is this, though, we never come to these incredible events without a stream of invisible people who are behind us, who've allowed us to be here. Of course, that's your wonderful lecturers, those who taught you, your fellow students. But for very many of us, it's our families, our girlfriends, our children who've supported us to get to this point today. And they say that a sign, or an old Greek proverb, a sign of a civilised society is when old men plant trees in the shade that they will never sit. And for many of us here tonight, that is true. You know, we may be the first people in our families to graduate from an institution. We may now take this time to pay respects to those who have travelled. I mean, unless we are First Nations Australians, and I pay my respects to the Wurundjeri people, all of us have had families who've come to Australia in search of what's traditionally called a better life. If my own mother hadn't made the brave journey over the seas from Holland, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you. I'd be in Holland eating raw fish, wearing clogs with plaits still in my hair. That's the truth of it, ladies and gentlemen. So, we are here to make a difference. You're going to take whatever you've learned at NMIT and take it out into the world. But there are some things I just want to remind you of. Very often we forget how incredibly fortunate we are. A friend of mine just came back from Afghanistan. She said to me that this time that she spent with the mothers there, what did they want? They wanted peace and they wanted education. And they were happy to live in tents if they could just give their children education. And that's what we've been fortunate enough to have. We live in a country where we're allowed to have an opinion. It might not always be one that I agree with, but I allow you that right, of your own opinion. So we also live in extremely wealthy times, and this is something that I often forget. You know, we're kind of an aspirational culture. We're always hoping to improve on previous performance, and that's a noble thing. Many of us would like to be wealthier than we are now. I just want to remind you of this very, very small thing. The clothes that we are wearing tonight, my dress actually, this one that I'm wearing, was made in Swanston Street 80 years ago. That's what the tag on the back said anyway, I'm just trusting that's true. The kind of thread count that we have on our clothing today, if we think back even just a few hundred years, this would have taken months to make many, many people, and it was only royalty who would have worn it, let alone thinking of what computers were, these magic books that we look into, or transport, or any of these things. So next time you, like me, worry that, you know, we'd like to be wealthier, we can just sit back and remember that we live indeed in some of the most fortunate times in the history of humankind. I'd just like to propose a toast to that. Cheers all. That's good stuff, this 100-year-old vintage water from NMIT. So all of us look for a place to belong. And this has certainly been my journey, and it's something I wanted to talk to you about tonight, because from here on in, you may have a life plan and it may go in funny directions that you weren't expecting. It may not, but mine certainly did. And I often think at this point of that, again, that old proverb, those who wander are not necessarily lost, although admittedly I often was. I was one of those kids who loved having a job, so at 13, I was already working at the hairdressers for $10 a day, which was just amazing. I could buy lollies and smokes, and no, I'm joking, none of that, but I could be independent. And then I ended up at a school called Preston, which is an alternative school. It's a progressive school, it's in Hawthorn. We climb trees, and no, it was a little more than that. There was actually a guy in my class who ended up graduating, and he now, what does he do? He makes rockets for NASA, that's right. So there were some rather intelligent people in my class. But for all its beauty and all the glory of Press Hill, there wasn't a whole lot of career counselling, shall we say. I knew that do you know what I wanted to do with my life? I knew that I wanted to make a difference in the world and perhaps balance out poverty. That's why I ticked public relations at RMIT. I didn't know that public relations was something you could use to improve the world. All I knew was that when I arrived on the first day with my nose ring, my flower wreath, my moo-moo, I was greeted by a charming young lady who had short blonde hair, pearl earrings, and she was a slight little thing, and she said, "Oh my God, are you sure you're in the right place?" And I said, "Yes, I believe," I was quite taken aback, "I believe this is the Public Relations Institute." She said, "Oh my God, are you serious? Like, you're in Public Relations too? I totally thought you were in media. Like, I just don't see people like you around here at all." And then she said, "Be sure to vote for me in the student elections. Bye." So that was my introduction to university. I knew within the third minute of the third lecture that I wasn't in the right place. And yet I didn't want to disappoint my parents. And I felt, privileged because I had done well at school and I'd gotten into this course, but I knew it wasn't the right place for me. So I kept kind of going to RMIT, but I didn't mention to my parents that I wasn't actually going to any lectures, etc. And I went travelling. And I looked and looked for a place that felt like home. Funnily enough, I thought it was going to be outside of me, that old trick. And it was actually through coming back into learning when I had the privilege of becoming a student at Melbourne University doing a creative arts course that I began to reconnect with what it was that I loved doing, which was making music. How do you make a career out of making music? I thought, well, I didn't know, and that wasn't the time to ask. But later in my life, after I'd finished my creative arts degree, there did come a time to ask, how do I make my living out of music? And ladies and gentlemen, that was after the scholarship in Canada that I'd gone to, that was after being invited to do masters, that was after all of these incredible and lovely learning opportunities I'd had. But I had no idea how to run my own business. And that's really what all creative people eventually need to do. And where did I go? TAFE. I did my Certificate 4 in Small Business. And it was really the place where I went to find practical information, intelligent application of what it was that I knew I could do. So I just want to say a few words about TAFE, which I know that TAFE's been in the news a lot lately, is that right? Everyone in the house say, yeah. Say, yeah. I can't hear you say, yeah. That's it, thanks. On a personal note, I just want to say, what I know is that TAFE changes people for the better. It changes lives. It changed my life. It began to allow me to think of how it was that I could go out in the world and serve by doing what I most wanted to do. And I can't be at the rally, but I want to let you know that there's a lot of, I've been tweeting today, with my 15,000 tweeters. There's a lot of love out there for TAFE, and a lot of people aren't going to take these funding cuts lying down. So there's going to be some noise. Okay, just give me a little hoy if you're from this TAFE. Ararat. Did I hear any hoy? Is there no one here from Ararat? What about Collingwood? Epping? Fairfield? Greensborough? Heidelberg? Anyone from Preston? Do you know I'm going to let you in on a secret. We do a bit of filming for Offspring in Preston, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like Fitzroy. Did you know that? It's true. And what about the incredible training centres? Anyone? Yeah? No. Well, you're all in the right place, and we're here to celebrate you tonight. Let me tell you a little story, because I come bringing hope, always. That's what I want to do. I don't want to waste a moment with you. I want to tell you everything I know that's good, and in the next 5 minutes that I have left with you, I just want to run through a couple of inspiring stories that I've gathered along my way. Now, ladies and gentlemen, 2010, excuse me, I get emotional before I talk about this story. It involves Paris Hilton and Julie Gillard. Oh, that's better. 2010, ladies and gentlemen, was traditionally known, or affectionately known in outside circles as the year of the ranger. Is everyone familiar with this term, ranger? Those who are familiar, please raise your hands. Those who are yet to be inducted, I see you, I know you, and I'm here to help. Ranger, I didn't know this either until I was put on the front cover of Triple J magazine, and there was a sign pointing to me saying, "No rangers allowed." A ranger is someone who has red hair. Okay, so I think it's short for the term orangutan. Who knows? But, it used to be something that people hid from. I'm a redhead by choice. I just want to say that publicly. That was a secret. If you could wipe that from the interweb, Manuel, that would be good. I'm a redhead by choice, and 2010 was our year. Christina Hendricks was in Mad Men. Anyone watch that? Yeah. Okay. Woohoo! Yeah, she's awesome. I'd get her to play me in the movie of my life if I could. Christina Hendricks and, of course, Florence and the Machine were very popular that year. I had my first top 10 ever. And Julia Gillard was our Deputy Prime Minister, our well-loved, at that stage, Deputy Prime Minister. And I don't know, maybe it's just something in my nature, but I decided that it was me who should play Julia in our family musical, which is called Canberra the Musical. We'll pull this out at family gatherings. And I really studied Julia, and I knew a lot about her mannerisms. And I knew what was going on. People love this impersonation. I got more claps than anything else I've ever done, and my whole life has been about getting claps, okay? The one thing I couldn't get were the hand gestures. I couldn't get them. I'd try to do the discussion, ladies, and I didn't know where to put them. And it became a real bone of contention for me. Like, became quite embarrassing. People would ask me to do the impersonation, and they'd say, "No, do the hands." And I'd be like, I just have to leave. I'm really tired of this now. And I'd leave, okay? And, I hadn't felt that embarrassed since I guess, my late teens when I had a job in a telecommunications centre. This was how my telecommunications centre, that's really me saying I was fixing mobile phones for people, answering the phone. And this is how I'd answer the phone. "Good afternoon, Martindale's Telecommunications. My name's Claire. How may I help you?" And then after some months of answering the same question again and again, I started answering the phone like this. "Good afternoon, Martindale's Telecommunications. My name's Claire. How can I help you?" And then the problem progressed, and it became, "Good afternoon, Martindale's Telecommunications. My name's Candy. How may I help you?" And always what would happen as you're kind of talking in this American accent, which I didn't do very well at all, and my mouth would start to get tired and I'd start to sound like one of those Australian actresses who's been living in New Zealand, America for too long. And then I'd have to go, I'm just going to pop you through to my supervisor. And the supervisor was always called Claire. Hello, this is Claire, your supervisor. Little did I know I was being listened in on by my supervisor. And that was a bit of explaining to do, you know, and again, I tried to leave the room. I said, no, this is too embarrassing, and left the room. But you have to own up to these things. So we'll jump back to my Julia impersonation. I actually got quite depressed about it. And I started sitting on the couch a lot more than usual and watching, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, I watched a lot of Oprah. Okay, and this one particular day, is there anyone else here watch Oprah? Watched Oprah? Oh, there's not a single, oh, how fascinating. Most popular show in Australia, and not a single person in the room watched it. Graduate? Alumni? Oh, no. All right, so I was alone at home in my pajamas watching Oprah, and I happened to watch the special on a movie called The Secret. Anyone heard of The Secret? It was a pretty bad special. Anyway, so it talked about the fact that we have to make affirmations in order to make things come through. So my affirmation became, I will do the hands like Julia. I will do the hands like Julia. And I was sitting on the couch eating chips, and the chips are flying out like teeth. You know, I will do the impersonation. Nothing happened. She didn't call. And I was shocked because I thought this stuff was supposed to work. Luckily, my manager, however, was into action. And this is something I want you to take with you. Action is important in life. It's great to have dreams and it's important to have goals, but we must take action. He picked up the phone, and within 1 week, this is the week before the election actually, so it all happened pretty quickly. 3 days before the election, I got a phone call asking if I wanted to go out to Canberra to spend an hour with Julia Gillard in her office. And of course I had to go up there pretending to be interested in all sorts of issues, and really all I wanted to know was, who did she like better, Beyonce or Gaga? The answer is Gaga, by the way. There is a family connection there, apparently. It's another story. And how to do the hands. So we talked about refugees, same-sex marriage, etc. But really, I was just waiting for my moment. And actually, at this point, I just want to tell you the quote that was running through my head. It is a quote from a modern-day poet of our times. The quote is, "Excuse me for thinking this moment's critical. Might be, we feel it. It could get physical. Oh, no, no." That's one of Paris Hilton's more appropriate quotes. And I do not recommend you read the YouTube comments below, okay? Just between you and me. And at the end of our conversation, I said, Miss Gillard, there's just one more question I need to ask you. And she said, mm-hmm. And I said, I'm known for an impersonation of you, and I don't know how to do your hands. And she said, what do you mean? And I said, your hands. She said, yes. I said, you know that thing you do with your hands? And she said, oh, do I? So anyway, the truth is that Julia taught me how to do her hands. So on behalf of myself, on behalf of the Government of Australia, I say, ladies and gentlemen of the NMIT public, I congratulate you on your incredible achievement and say, well done to your lecturers, your family and yourselves. Thank you. And before I move off the mic to sing you a world premiere of a song that I've written, I want to talk just briefly about, leave you with something, which is about this idea of happiness. Now, for each of my albums I investigate, I do a mini kind of certificate for, you know, I know what the topic is. For this particular album, the next one, it's the theme of happiness. And that means I've spent the last few months researching happiness. Where do we find it? Where does it hide? And before we go, I want you to think about this. The things in your life that have made you the happiest. Just for a moment, once again, close your eyes. I promise I won't leave this time, okay? Close your eyes, and with me, just think about those things that have brought you happiness. And very often what you'll find is that it was either something you weren't expecting at all, a gift, or it was something you had to work very, very hard at, indeed. Those of us who doubt ourselves, who have this mad monkey in our head that tells us, you know, they're not good enough. So I'm not thin enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not kind enough. That's an uncommon one, but, you know, it can happen. I want to leave you with a theory that an incredibly intelligent doctor, Dr. Norman Doidge, has been working on for the last few years. It's on the theory of brain plasticity. It's on the theory of brain plasticity. And basically he's written this hit book, which I came across in my research. It's called The Brain That Changes Itself. For anyone who's ever doubted themselves, when you're out there outside of the cocoon of NMIT and you're doing your story fondling, that means you're telling yourself the same story again and again about what you can't do, just remember that the power of decision can change everything. The power of your decision can change everything. The decision you made to study at NMIT, the way that you will serve the world. And those of you who don't think you're going to serve the world, you're just going to go out there and make money, good luck to you, but you're going to make it serving someone too, because you're going to have something that is worth other people spending their time and money on. So I would love for you to just open your eyes again. For the 7 of you who closed them, I thank you. I know you each by name. And I'll close with this quote. It's from a wise woman called Stephanie Dowrick. And it's a long one, so I had to write it down. Your attitude to life is far more important in determining your happiness than your money, appearance, social status, or talent. Happiness, like love, is itself an attitude. Happiness is created through countless choices made and then made again throughout a lifetime. You are its host as well as its guest. You give it form, shape, individuality, texture, and tone. And what it allows you to give can change the world. Always remember, you just kept going. And now, a little something from the vault. So this is a song that I wrote around the time that I graduated. And I haven't played it before, and I've changed the chorus a little bit. This is so exciting. I'm a bit scared. Are you scared too? You should be scared. Do you know what I wanted to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen? I wanted to make you sing with me. You got off the hook this time. Next time you may not be so lucky. It's been an honour spending this night with you. You want to write a novel, make beautiful music, act in the theatre with inspiring humans, learn a language, run like the wind, help people fit in, travel to every country, live with the people, smile when your children have babies, make the heart your home, inviting and warm. You want an amazing life, but you can't decide. You think you have to be fully formed already, don't you? You want this amazing life, but you can't decide. You don't have to be just one thing, but you have to start with something. You'll be a little bit older in October.
You've reneged on your pre-birth promise. Now you think that this journey is over. Let me encourage you to know you will feel it when it is over. If it feels like hell, take it as a sign you need time to be still and just listen for a while. You want this amazing life, but you can't decide. You think you have to be fully formed already, don't you? You want this amazing life, but you can't decide. Oh, you don't have to be just one thing, but you have to start with something. You don't have to be just one thing, but you have to start with something. You do not have to be just one thing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. But you started already. Thank you very much, and wishing you all the very best of luck.